new friend.
Mike.
Miguel, with 2 flat tires, but the same tire. 2 flat tire Mike. Mike the mechanic. If you don't know me, my name is Dr. Matt Lyon. By day, I am originally trained as a chiropractor, and I have a master's degree in acupuncture and oriental medicine. And by night, I'm a philosopher, which means I'm a lover of wisdom, which means that I want to absorb and live all the things I can to really live an optimal life. And I want to define what that is, because I think there's some really cool stuff based on some really profound research that we have from Martin Seligman and his colleagues, who are the founders of positive psychology. Hey, we just started, so you're right on time.
Okay.
And really, it's like, what is well-being, right? Well-being is sort of a hard thing to define. So classically, we sort of thought that was, well, it's life enjoyment, or maybe well-being is that you don't have high cholesterol, or that you don't have high blood pressure, or that your bone density is good. But in fact, these things have very technically little to do with well-being, because one can have strong bones, good blood pressure, good cardiovascular health, and not really experience well-being. So we want to define what well-being is, and really, well-being is an inside job, I guess as most things are, that are meaningful and having to do with this optimal living idea. So well-being is really, it's a heuristic. It's a bunch of different things that make it up. But one of the things that we know for sure is that it's made up of an acronym called PERMA, which stands for positive emotions, full engagement with life, healthy relationships, a deep sense of meaning, and achievement that's oriented around service to a community. This is one dimension of well-being, and when we're in this, and it's integrated at all these levels, we would say then that we're flourishing. Now, if we go back to what I said about, well-being not necessarily being cholesterol, high blood pressure, bone markers, what we can say is that more likely than not, if you're living PERMA well, chances are, especially if you're including body practices like exercise, meditation, healthy diet, your chances of having well-being on a biochemical level are tremendously higher. And likewise, we know that 90% of most disease is stress-related, and this isn't crazy math. This is American Medical Association. So the other dimension of well-being that I want to describe is one of really flourishing on every level, both physically, mentally, and emotionally, and in the way we can adapt to and handle stress, and finally, and our quality of life. And quality of life means to me that we feel passionate, we're trusting that everything's going to work out when it's supposed to, we have a sense of harmony in our relationships, a sense of deep resolution and forgiveness with the ultimate challenges we've all faced, a sense of trusting in ourselves and our innate goodness, and also having healthy boundaries with others. So, because not everybody's trustworthy, but we have a deep innate sense of the goodness of human nature while establishing healthy boundaries. We have meaningful work where we're contributing. We have healthy expression of sexuality. We have passionate, creative pursuits that bring us great joy and meaning. And ultimately, the thing that was so powerful about this new research that I just read that said pretty dead on, and I don't think this is news to anybody here and anybody at Myers Park, but basically the science was so clear on really what sustainable, authentic happiness is. It was very clear. It said that people who focus on exterior stuff, which basically broke down to 3 categories: fame, beauty, and wealth. Now we can play that out. One could seek fame in a church job, working in a church, by seeking to be the top dog or get attention or whatever that external thing would be. For me, that could be in my career, that I have a certain kind of practice or get on the radio. Whatever those external focused things. We can seek wealth as an end of itself and beauty. Whereas we become habituated, oh thank you dear, habituated to thinking that looking good according to our cultural standards will bring us happiness. So the science was so clear that it's actually said that the more we focus on those 3 things, people are actually less psychologically stable. And in fact, you can measure someone's psychological stability by understanding where their focus is, what's in the foreground. And if wealth, fame, and beauty are in the foreground, they tend to have higher levels of depression, anxiety, and narcissistic tendencies. Isn't that interesting? And then if you think about our culture at large, and I don't mean the Myers Park culture, but I mean just the general culture who's not having this conversation, be it in our consumer-driven society, politics, banking, etc., they're still pretty much caught up in fame, wealth, and beauty. And therefore, we have a society that's very prone to depression, anxiety, and narcissism. In fact, there's a great book out called The Narcissism Epidemic. And yet, if we go back to this model of what is it like to flourish on every level, we pretty much know that scientifically, we can be very happy and flourish on every level if we're focusing on three things. One is deepening more healthy and profoundly intimate personal relationships. So personal relationships, soulful contribution. You know, our work is about contribution. It's not about getting stuff or getting a paycheck. So we have relationships, we have our contribution, and then we have this beautiful idea that our growth as human beings doesn't stop. So personal growth, meaningful contribution, and then the first one I mentioned, relationships. These are the three. This is the three-legged stool of deep happiness, which to me then we're flourishing on every level. So we've got that perma in place, and now we're experiencing physical well-being, emotional well-being. Our ability to handle stress is increasing, and we've got this enjoyment of life, which I mentioned is basically a passionate, full engagement. So this is a little different then of just saying, well, wellness is eating well. That's a tiny component. You know, wellness is exercising. That's actually a tiny component. All these things are great, and we know that if you do those two things, you'll have about a 22% improvement in your overall wellness. But I think when we start talking about this deep sense of flourishing and these practices that can actually cultivate that, what we know is that can improve your sense of wellness by about 66% within a 6-month period. So isn't that cool? So I just wanted to start off. So, you know, my goal for all of us here tonight is that we flourish on every level. And that's pretty much it. And so I want to just open it up for any comments or questions at this point. And don't worry about the videotape. It's good when they're on there. But they won't see your face, so you can say whatever you want.
I need a handout.
I know.
This is great information, and I came totally unprepared to write.
I don't go to things that handouts.
Oh, this was the day where I didn't do my. I didn't want to do my PowerPoint. I wanted to come from the heart.
Handout.
Okay.
Edition.
Okay.
Right? I'm glad you said that.
Well, he wants you to come back in the fall, so.
Well, we'll be back, but we need handouts every time.
Oh, is this a teaser for the fall?
Yes and no, but I have 5 pieces of information which I'm going to give you, which I think are in of themselves a wonderful little learning experience and very sublime knowledge. And then, you know, if you want to take notes, feel free. And yes, next time I will do handouts.
Okay. So PERMA is, what's the P?
Great. Yeah. So it's positive emotion.
Okay.
E stands for engagement. This means every level of our life, whether it's work, family, our children, our own personal prayer practice, meditation, exercise, whatever it is, that we're really engaging fully, and that we're coming at that from what we would call signature strengths: creativity, joy, love, kindness, all that stuff. So that's the E. So now we have R. This is relationships. The fourth would be M, which is meaning, that our life has deep meaning. And A, PERMA, is achievement. Meaning that our achievement is not for the sake of achieving something, but that our achievement is a meaningful contribution to the community at large. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. Mothering, being a dear friend, working in a church, spiritual counseling, leading a retreat, supporting a church like this. These are all aspects of it. And the other thing that this wonderful research is so big on is that, you know, having it be big has nothing to do with it. You know, it doesn't have to be big and remarkable and bright lights and get you on Oprah so you can sell, you know, millions.